Welcome back, everybody. This is Brother Mutant here. Today we're continuing our quest to beat Pathfinder Kingmaker. If you recall from our last episode, we just got done helping out Jathal, did some kingdom stuff, and we just got done beating curse number 4. Now, for those of you who have never seen this game before, know that I am using mods. This means it is not the vanilla version of the game. You're free to download those mods. They do not cost anything. This is the list that I have. I've used them to various effects. The ones that will really stick out to you will be things like Eldritch Arcana, which allows me to have traits that are not in the vanilla version of the game, a few spells as well. Notice that I use Bag of Tricks. This is a way for me to specifically cheat in certain instances, to a degree, obviously. What I will use this for is, for example, when you have a mercenary, like I have 2 on the team, they give you, in the vanilla version of the game, a 20-point buy, which means you have 20 points to spend on their abilities. That's Strength, Dex, Con, Intelligence, Wisdom, Charisma. Of course, the more you jack up a specific stat, the more points it costs, so it's not just a point apiece. They start you off at usually a base of 10 for everything, unless, of course, you pick something other than human. Okay. Now, a 20-point buy is fine, nothing wrong with that. Matter of fact, we've done that in plenty D&D type of games, where we didn't set rolling dice, we just decided let's just do point buy. 25 is what your character is set at, and I wanted teammates that were just like me as far as the capabilities that they had, so I can change that using Bag of Tricks. Other things, for example, are remove area effects. These are for spells that literally have been cast on the ground or in the area, like a web spell, a grease spell, something like that, where literally after the fight's over, I can press a button, the effect disappears. It doesn't cost me anything. I don't have to waste a dispel magic spell to make it go away. And we do this in pen and paper all the time, too, where we've decided, well, you're the wizard that conjured the grease spell. After the fight's over, why can't you just make it go away without using another spell? That just seems dumb. So, again, it's not a concentration issue for us. It's more of a, it makes the gameplay easier, and it's just a quality of life improvement. Turn-based combat's the biggest, I think, that you'll notice right off the bat. When we get into a fight, unlike your real-time with pause, which is what the game is built around, this one will literally stop the combat, pause it by default, and do initiative rolls like your game does, and put it in order, and there'll be a list on the side of the order, so you can see who's first, who's second, who's on down the line. There'll be surprise rounds. It will show you whether you've used a swift action already, if you've used your attack action already, or if you used your movement action already. And again, in surprise rounds, you only get 2 of those 3. So again, very, very different. Again, you will see that it's easier to plan. This is, again, more in line with pen and paper, which is why I use it. Now, let's actually get into the game, though, shall we? Now, we just beat the curse. We're getting ready to head back to base. Of course, we have to turn in the quest, so to speak, which is just nothing more to say than to go back to base and wait for it to tell us that, hey, you did the thing with the thing, and yeah, you did the thing, yay, thing. And that'll happen. We do need to check our journal, make sure there's not something else to do, but by and large, I think we're good for going back to base. Now, that means that this curse number 4, there's a series of curses in this game. Curse number 4 is done. Then the next one will eventually pop up because it's a continual problem until you solve the problem, which of course is the end of the game. So our curse issue will reappear, the curse number 5, and curse number 5 has a time limit. All of them do. So when we see the next curse, it'll give us a feel for how much time we have to dilly think around, travel, explore, battle certain areas, get more gear, more loot, and build up for that ever-important cash pool that we're going to want to have for some of our bigger fights. We got some really cool stuff coming, probably real soon. One of the biggest chapters is the one we're coming up on now, I think, and it's one I've never finished, so we're actually approaching a part of the game that I've never done, so that's actually quite cool for me. Oh, the place looks like shit. What the hell happened here? Pick up the crap on the ground, you dumbasses. I guess that's their gutter. Nice. They're trapped. See what happens when you got stuff in the damn road? Anyway, I want to sell some stuff. We picked up a bunch of loot randomly. And then you notice I'm keeping certain things. Let's actually show you that. So I'm keeping this short sword. The reason for this is there is, in this game, with a new spell that I have thanks to my Eldritch Arcana mod, we have an ability to cast a spell called Summon 6 Goblins, I think is what it's called. And it's like a level 2 spell, and it has a material component to it, which there are a few things in the game that do have material components. This spell has, you have to have a short sword to summon them. That's why I keep one. Now the fun thing is once they die, those goblins that you summon, once they die, they actually leave short swords and gear behind, so they like leather armor or whatever, and they just die, and you can sell all their gear and keep one short sword for the next time you summon them. So again, you can make some money that way early on at least. Notice that I have other stuff though. We got a flaming dagger, shock dagger, a speed composite longbow +2, and an unholy flail, and I'm never using the unholy flail. The unholy flail +4 balls are ball or weapon +4. Flails are one-handed, but can be wielded two-handed. So do more damage if you're wielding it two-handed, of course, assuming you have strength, of course. And it's an unholy weapon, which means it does more damage against good aligned characters. Well, I'm a good character. Why would I be beating on other good characters? It's probably not going to happen. I do want to check to see if he has any kick-ass gear. This is all stuff that we've sold him. There's some really good stuff in here, though, by the way. I don't think there's anything I really need to worry about. Oh, about those material components I mentioned a moment ago, dinosaur bone is an example of one. Matter of fact, I think I'll just take one just to make sure I have extra on my person. Another one is diamonds and diamond dust, and I don't see them here. If I actually go by name, it'll be easier for me to find stuff, though. Let's go like that. Yeah, he doesn't sell them. Okay, he has dinosaur bones for some silly ass reason. Matter of fact, I'm going to take another one. He has dinosaur bones for some silly ass reason, but he's not the expert when it comes to magical stuff. Zarcy doesn't have them, I don't think, either. She sells scrolls, but we will check. Again, if you go by name, and scrolls, obviously all start with scroll of blah blah. So if you go to the top and see S's, then you know that's all she pretty much has. Well, that and wands. So, and again, they do have some interesting ones. I actually appreciated the fact that they added wands of these various cantrips. Ray of Frost, Jolt. I don't see an Acid Splash one, which is kind of weird. But these are interesting in that there's certain parts of the game where you have to have the ability to use Jolt, Acid Splash, and Ray of Frost to actually complete a quest. So if you wanted to do solo work, you'd have to have the ability to do that if you wanted that treasure. This character here, we are. Nope. Okay, so where would the diamond dust be? Let me think. Diamond dust gotta be the vendor here. Arsenal? Clerical stuff. Kind of makes sense. You know, the need for components for your spells for someone that's casting spells. There we go. Diamonds and diamond dust are other things like dinosaur bone that are material components in this game. They kind of went a little easy on the liberties with this stuff because, again, many things, while they could use a diamond, especially the pricey ones, diamond dust is a kind of like a catch-all for a variety of things as well. Some things that you would think, well, I remember using that, you know, Circle of Death requires that I have, you know, like an onyx, the ground into fine powder, or a pearl, or an opal, or something like that. And they didn't put that in this game, which is kind of a bummer. But again, it does get unwieldy. Having said that, though, you have enough carrying capacity, and it takes it right out of your pack, so you don't have to actually physically pull it out of a pouch or anything weird. So I do appreciate that they attempted to do it, but they could have done so much more. So we are back here at our base, and what are we going to do from here? Check in, of course. So you talk to the table. The table is your kingdom. That's after chapter 1 is done. So you do your tutorial. You're fighting out of the area, become chapter 1, officially into chapter 1. You would be level 2 at the start of chapter 1. You beat the main bad guy of chapter 1, so to speak, turn in that quest, and then they give you your own kingdom, which is where we're at now. So this is our kingdom, and this is how we literally upgrade stuff. So we have events, which are always important. You notice the date on each of their little tags here is how many days they have left to work on whatever it is we're talking about. Notice we have only so many days in the month. As such, when quest items like this, events show up, we have to make sure someone is available. Well, we've actually got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here available on these things. 2 more here, that's 7. How many actual advisors do we have? 10. You start off with 4, and then you free up a 5th one very quickly. And then from there, what is it, 4 or 3? Anyway, you start off with a low number first, and then you rapidly add people as you get certain stuff. Let me show you how we actually do that. So look at your stats over here. See all these ranks? Many of these, you started off, you didn't have anything in them, and it's basically not even a rank 1. You have to unlock them. So if you look at community, so this statistic is governed by the regent on this little pop-up menu. The regent is the advisor, the title of the advisor. In this case, it's a counselor, and in this case, it is the general, and on it goes. Now, if you look at some of these weird ones, let's say arcane, it tells you how to unlock it. In small baronies, the high priest covers matters of the arcane and will ask to assign a magister when the divine rank reaches level 4. Now, that's a lie. You can see my divine rank is level 3, and we already have the arcane unlocked. So they have yet to fix these tooltips, and I don't think they're ever going to go back and do that, sadly. It used to be that it was rank 4, and that became rapidly ridiculous because it's so hard to get to rank 4. People are like, well, how the hell do I unlock all this shit? So they dumbed it down to, like, I think rank 2 or rank 3 even. So again, you see that we've unlocked several things here. And again, it was necessary to rank up your stats. Now, this is what is important to get to the rank up. Notice this one here is at 22, and we're at rank 1. Now that I'm high enough here, I'm actually able to burn time and basically train, if you will, the espionage guy, do what they need. And basically, it's called, let's see, rank up, support the minister's endeavors or support the whoever's endeavors, right? If you do that, it goes up a rank without fail. There's never oh, you didn't succeed this time. No, these ones are, you do it and it's done. You invested in it and you get it, which is nice because then you don't have to worry about die rolls, because a lot of these have die rolls. If I rank this up to rank 2, he's better at his job. Also, we make more money. So if you see at the very bottom of that tooltip where it says provides 1 BP per week, yeah, that's how much building points or BP we have each week. This is how much we've saved up. This is all our buffs and such that we have for our characters right now, for whether our kingdom or our advisors or just us in general or out in the battlefield. We have something in here, for example, that makes me immune to poison, so, or my whole team, so long as we're in our kingdom. We have a magical bestowal upon us that where we all just immune to poison effects, which is pretty badass. And there's many, many more than this. I'm very low on the totem pole here right now. Even 4 is pretty bad. I think it goes all the way up to rank 10. It's possible that it even goes to 20, but I think 10 is what I remember. And as such, we're not even halfway there. Notice economy's at 4. The other ones are lower. I did that on purpose. If your BP per week is based on your rank, like 4 gives me 4 a week for each of these. So this is 3, this is 3, this is 3, not down. If these were 4 and economy was 3, these ones would only be giving me 3. So they can never be higher than whatever the economy is giving you. And that's key. Always keep your economy at the highest. Doesn't have to be higher than everything else, but at least the highest of them. Otherwise, you're wasting out on BP a week. And that's very important early on. Later on, we're going to have so much BP, we won't know what the hell to do with it. Everything will be built. Every square will be utilized in all our kingdoms. And on that, that's the next thing we do. We actually go to a specific city, town, or village. Village is the smallest. Then it gets upgraded to a town. Then eventually you can upgrade several of them, but not all, to a city, like our capital here. So if you go into their capital, you can build stuff. So here's the view. I don't even know why they gave you the view. I guess it's kind of pretty, but build is what you want. See all the open squares? This is territory that I still have yet to put stuff. And this is some of the things that I can put there. Now, why do I say some? Some are actually hidden behind a wall of you have to be a certain alignment. So if your kingdom is your alignment as your main character. So I'm lawful good, which is fine with me. If I was chaotic evil, different things would be on this list. Notice here, can only be built in the settlement housing at Thieves Guild, restricted to kingdoms with a neutral, chaotic neutral, neutral evil, or chaotic evil alignment. So again, why it's allowing me to make this when I am definitely not those things, I do not know. We have a bank that gives us extra economy, and again, this is when we talk about our building up our stats. This number here, the 176, that's what we're talking about. So extra 2 to economy would be economy 218. If I build the bank, it would jump up to 220. Okay, that's how you increase these stats one way. Another way is to do these quests. The quests will randomly reward you after you complete them with various things. Some will give you a little bit, some will give you a lot. The best are the ones where it's a triumph. So there's successes, there's failures, there's colossal failures, which I forget what they call those. I think it's called a disaster. And obviously those are super bad. And then there's of course triumphs. Depends on their die roll. How well you succeed past what they asked you to do dictates whether it's a success or a triumph. So if you just beat it, then it's at least a success. That's all you really need. If it's a triumph, usually they give you even more stuff. So like if they were going to give me 2 economy, say for completing a quest, just for completion, if I turn it in as a triumph, they may give me 3 or 4, or maybe they'll give me 2 economy and +1 to loyalty for just some random ass reason. That's nice. So all these stats here, as much as I'd like to say it has to come from buildings, it does not come from buildings. Most of them come from completing your quest. So again, by quest, of course, I mean these things that have the tabs, the people's events, the projects, and stuff like that. So again, events that people are working on. Notice example here, I pop one open. He has a +9 to his stat because of his rank and his intelligence or his strength or whatever. Everybody's counselors or advisors bonuses are based on 2 things. One, it's based on how good they are at their job. That's our rank process. Okay, so how many ranks are they? The other is based on an ability score. So is it based on strength? For example, a general would be based on strength. The stronger they are, physically stronger they are, the better they are at their job. Some are in smarty pants with the team. So again, the more intelligence they have, the better they are at their job, and therefore a bigger number here. So again, there's only so many ways to level up certain people. For instance, he's not a player character. If he's based off of strength, let's just say, because I don't know this, but if he's based off of strength, I can't level up his strength. I can't give him magic gear to make him stronger. I can't specifically invest time in making him stronger. So that's a problem for him. So one of the easiest ways to do it is just to make sure whatever rank he's under here is the highest rank I can possibly give him. That's a big help. There is another thing you can do. See, is it under training? Strengthen the skills of the warden. This is my warden. There's +9 skills. This is an example of that, okay? So again, if I do this with one of these 3 people who are currently all busy, and it costs me this much BP, and this many days to do it, which is a bad idea to do at the end of the month, great idea to do at the beginning of the month when you have those 20 days to burn, I could put someone on this. When it's done, it's finished. He becomes better. That +9 probably goes to +10, +11, something like that. So again, do those things. Notice I have several. Notice that there's ones that I will never upgrade. Bartholomew, which actually I think it is a typo because I think it's supposed to be Bartholomew. But he is an advisor, or could be an advisor. He could be a treasurer. He could be a diplomat. I have people in those ranks right now. I don't need him for either of those, and he's kind of evil. So he's here, we're paying him, but he's not being, you never notice that payment, by the way, but he is basically here on the payroll, and we're not using him. So I'm not leveling him up because there's no goddamn reason to do so. Why waste BP on a guy that's never going to go into this job? I have a diplomat. I think that's Lindsay, matter of fact. And I have a treasurer, and that's Jubilost right now. So again, there's no reason for me to invest precious resources in a guy that's never going to go into that role. It's like being trained to be a nuclear physicist when you're basically the guy that's swapping out the toilets. Yeah, you could do it, but why? Now this guy, here's our storyteller. He is the curator. So he actually could use this, and he's not another one of those player characters. He's an NPC. So again, I can't rank him up any other way. He's actually rocking a solid +11, so he must be a real smart son of a bitch. Because Octavia is highly intelligent, and she's our magister. She's the one that does our arcane. So again, I could put her on this, and I will, but not yet. The key here in a lot of these things, and it's one of the reasons I hate this part of the gameplay, is it's time-based. So literally at the end of the month, if something pops up, or again, I have only so many advisors, 2 here right now are being used, 5 here being used, that's 7 of my 10. If something pops up in the last 3 days where it must be done and handled right now, and I have no one to put on it, I lose that ability. It's not game breaking in many cases. You notice that we are stable, but stable rapidly becomes bad, and then bad becomes worse, because everything after you're not stable is a penalty. So these people, for example, going back to him, he has a DC check for this opportunity he's trying to make. There's as far as the events are concerned, there's opportunities and there's problems. Problems you solve first. Opportunities are great. You want them. Again, you see what we're going to get if we succeed. +3 to stability. Again, that's our stat for here. Again, doing well. And all these numbers we'll go over later when we rank somebody up. By and large, know that you want more. Always, always, always of everything on this list. So this 22 is real bad. Get it up to the hundreds, and we're doing much, much better. Having said that, notice this has a DC check. They all do, and the DC checks will get steadily worse. Higher, higher, and higher. I've seen it in the 30s, and I hear endgame it gets into the 40s to the 50s. So we really need high, high stats, because a +9 ain't going to swing it with a 20-sided die roll. So there's always a 20-sided die roll, and then, of course, your modifier added to it. Okay, so 1 to 20, +9. So he would need basically a 6 or better. That's where you're getting the 75% success rate. So basically there's a 75% chance that he will pass this, a 25% chance that he will fail it. And again, that pass can be not only just a success, it can also be a triumph. The failing, it can be a failure / a disaster. So we have to be careful. So that's a lot to process, I do know that. But if somebody shows up in the next few days and they really, really, really need to be put on a quest or something, then I need to make sure it passes. I need to have someone available to put on it. Notice everybody here is busy until next month. This over here, Lindsay's the only one that might be available. She'll be done in 3 days, so on the 30th, assuming there's 30 days in this month, and there should be. So we should be okay. We also have, like I said, 7 right now being used. That leaves us 3 available. The downside of that is when the next event pops up, it could be only he can do it. That's another downside of this type of gameplay. This is the part that pisses me off. There's no way to know for sure. Now, yes, again, you can make the argument, well, that's how the game's built, and that's how it should be. You can't complete everything. But as a completionist, you have no idea how much it pains me to see you failed and have a little red swatch over here of you suck. It's just sitting there taunting you for many, many months. It just pisses me off because it's like, dude, I totally could have done that if I would have known that that was going to be a thing. Instead, I decided to put him on this. That's why I say you have to be really careful when you're planning this stuff out. Let's actually skip ahead a few days. So first, I've saved it, quick save. J for journal. We're going to go through our list to make sure we've caught up. These are all the various chapters. So here's our intro chapter. Chapter 1 is done. Chapter 2, and on up it goes. We're completing all those. We're still here dealing with this. Darwin's disappeared. This is the doofus that we dealt with the other day. He lied to me. Lied! He has a deal with the devil. Beneath the Stolen Lands, we're waiting for it to open up. This is a DLC that was released for this game. Highly recommend that you purchase this version of the game for this reason alone. There's good loot here and good XP to be had for you and your team. This will be an easier way for you to get to level 20 for your whole party before the end of the game. Because a lot of people were kind of pissed off at the fact that unless they did everything, which of course I'm trying to do, unless they did everything, they would never get to level 20 by the end of the game, except for like maybe the very last hour of the game. And it's kind of, well, what the hell? You know, you get your best ultimate level 20 thing, and you only get to use it for like 5 minutes. Which, again, I get that. But there's ways around it. For example, we shut off XP share earlier in the game. That allowed me to level up faster than everybody else. I turned that on. I got to a spot where I'm like, I'm happy with where the level I'm at. I'm going to turn the XP share back on, which I can do under the options setting, and everyone getting XP now, whether they're on the party or not. Remember, you can take up to 6 people with you at any given time, including your main character. So, that's 6 people you get to tout around and share XP with, but everyone that's sitting back at base would normally not earn anything, unless, of course, you have XP share on. So anything that we get for XP is evenly split among 6 people, and everyone back at base still levels up too. That's why you want to leave it on. I shut it off because that means if I go out solo, let's say, keep it simple since we're talking about 6 people. Let's say you got a bad guy you killed and you got 600 XP for it. Okay. If I'm going solo and I shut off XP share, then I get all 600 XP. If I leave XP share on and I go solo, kill the same exact guy, I only get 100, and everyone back at base will get 100. Okay. If I had 6 people on the team, making it a much easier fight, obviously, we'd only get 100 each again. So 600 divided by 6, so 100 across the board. And again, everyone back at base that didn't do jack and shit but support us by saying, you can do it, gets another 100 as well. That's what XP share does. There's another trick too. There's a way to shut off XP to the people that do or that don't do a ability check or a skill check. So two ways for you to kind of juice your character up. If you're going to be the skill monkey, the person that's literally in charge of doing like the picking of the locks, the disarming of the traps, the discovering this and perceiving that, and all that cool shit. Then, if you shut off the XP share for the people that don't do the check, you get all that XP for yourself. Just a little, later on, quite a bit. But let's say you pick a trap, and again, that trap was normally like, again, let's say 6 XP, earliest levels. You get 6 XP for disarming this trap. Again, with a team of 6 and XP shared on, everyone gets 1. Well, that's kind of nothing. But if you shut that off, and I do it, and then I get all 6, that doesn't sound like much. But again, you're just a little bit ahead of everybody on the team. And eventually get to the point where you're a level ahead of everyone on the team. And then 2 levels ahead of everyone on the team. And that's why you do that. So again, as the captain of the team, in my opinion, I should be better than everybody else around me. Now, there are people, let's see if I can pop that up here. There are people like me on the team that are near my level, which you wouldn't think is a thing since I out-leveled the shit out of them because I'm level 16. But there were people that joined us after we've assembled the team. Okay, let's see if I can pop up an example of that. Knock Knock, I think is a fine example. Here's Knock Knock. Notice he's level 16. He's got this much XP, 11,1143202, and I have 1143202. So he has the same XP as me. So he joined me after I shut off or turned back on the XP share. So he will always be the same amount of XP as me from this point on. When he joined us, he should have been like level 9. Typically, if you had XP share on from start to finish and doing everything you can possibly do, you're probably only still going to be around level 9 or so at the time. So he should be right about level 9 or 10 or so at this point. Because he joined me when I was this high of a level, he's my level. So they juiced him up a little bit. I think they do the same with Jubilos. He joins you later. So he's actually quite high. Not as high because again I hadn't shut off the XP share, or turned the XP share back on yet. Another one is Ekin. And again, he's real high. He's equal level of me. So again, I have 3 people that are my level. Me, Knock Knock, and Ekin. These ladies, they join you, but I never use them. So again, when I was not sharing XP, they're very low. Despite that, they're still pretty damn comparable to some other people on the team. And there are ways to level up people in your kingdom map. You can literally give them XP, sort of. So like a quest in here could be training. That would literally level someone up. Let's see. I don't think I have anything like that available. So what are we going to do? That's a lot of talking for no good reason. We have saved. We're ready to fast forward through some of these days. We might want to take a knee so that we have all our spells. Remember, we just got back from a big battle. So let's actually rest. So press R. You will rest in your throne room, in your bedroom. Come out to your throne room. Oops, what the hell did you do? I just stole some food. Whatever, doesn't matter. Come out here, click on this, and again, 6 to 8 hours or so has been burnt up. So maybe a day got fast forwarded. Didn't look like it. So again, we're still on the same day. So again, quick save, and now you skip days until something happens. Okay? Skip a day. Doesn't look like anything happened. Skip another day. Looks like we're still good. And events will pop up. You'll see like a number up here. Skip another day. Now, Lindsay was successful at whatever she was doing. Now it takes less time to claim and upgrade regions. That was an awesome upgrade for us. So, when we talk about claiming regions, let's look at that. Here's a region. Here's an upgrade for a region. Normally they take 14 days. Notice it's now 7. 7. So it's half the time. That's an amazing upgrade for us. Now, sadly, if we actually, I wish I could show you on the map. You see these little dash marks here. This is North Gnarl Marches, the South Gnarl Marches, the Dire Gnarl Marches. These are territories we have claimed. Okay, we're about to deal with this area next. It's Pitax, and we have yet to claim 1,000 Voices, but we will, I think, at some point, and that's the last one. Glendabon was our most recent acquisition. Well, I think at the Dire Gnarl Marches. But each of these territories took us like 14 days to claim as our own. With the exception, of course, of the Shrike. That's our main territory that was handed to us. And that was after Chapter 1. So, those 14 days, that's a long time to be dilly-dinking around. And because when you do these things, notice how it has me, the main character here, and then I pick an advisor to go in along with it. If I do this, let's say I put her in here and start this project, it will force 7 days to just zip, zip, zip by. Meaning me and her are currently busy and can't be bothered. That's 14 days, like I said, normally. So that's a big 14 FU days being used every time you're trying to take over another area. And lots can happen in 14 days. All these events that we're dealing with, like again, all these people would have turned in their quest in 14 days, and who knows if they would have passed them. So again, if you want to keep on top of these things and make sure that you're passing these successfully, we do scum saving. And again, I say that like it's a bad thing, but screw you, it's definitely a good thing. You definitely want it. It is important to make sure that you pass everything, because you always want to be at least stable. And usually by now, I'm actually in what's called the serene category, which is slightly better than stable. Kind of weird that we're not there yet. But hopefully we will get there. Now, again, we just turned in something. So anytime we turn in something, I almost always like to hop out here, go back to the throne room, the actual throne room itself, just make sure there's not someone waiting here for me. Sometimes they'll tell you, sometimes not. Sometimes they'll just randomly show up. But again, I do that on purpose. Then I save, I go back in, and then I'll skip another day. Or again, now that it's the end of the month, I can feel safe to put Lindsay on something else. So if I needed to train someone, and Lindsay could be used to train like that, I can do so if I so choose. Now, remember, this is one I said not to do. Storyteller. Again, now that I have Lindsay back, maybe Octavia needs to do this. And again, it's the end of the month, so I feel okay doing this, and the curator needs a level up. He, by the way, is our culture guy, I believe. Yeah. And he's doing fine at a 3. Arcane is actually doing worse, so I actually need to level that up. But that's not the same as this. Ranking up and strengthening a specific skill set of somebody is similar. Rank ups are these, obviously, and therefore more BP / money, quote unquote, for the kingdom for you. But this, like I said, it just directly impacts this +10. So you see how the leader bonus, the kingdom stat, and the stat rank are 3 ways to basically upgrade her arcana. So she's at a solid +10 right now, but again, that's not that great. Look at some of the, I could have done it this way. Look at some of the other people's numbers. 13, 10, 11. And she's a player character, so is he. So whatever their skills are, probably intelligence. They're really good at it, but he's much better at his than hers. Why is he so much better? He's the economist. See his +4 rank? See her +2? That's part of the reason they're separated. Just part. The other part probably has to do with intelligence. So who has the higher intelligence? Probably Jubilost. Storyteller's rocking it, but again, I cannot buff him the traditional way by giving him intelligence-based gear. So this would be a good thing to do. I still think, though, here we go, let's do the Warden. Notice he's the Warden. Notice he's at a 9. So he, again, as a non-player character, we need him to be in the double digits. This would be a definite upgrade. Let's do that. Curses. We have research to be done. Notice that these researches take a long period of time and a lot of BP. So there are usually one person that can do the curse. Eventually you unlock the arcane stat here, and as such you get to put an advisor, in this case Octavia, as the magister. Now both of them, the high priest and the magister, can work on curses. I could have him work on this one and she work on the next one. Nothing wrong with that. However, the downside is if something happens in the kingdom on the first of the month, usually all the new shit shows up, and halfway through the month too. If something shows up where only the magister or the high priest can work on it, well, I got both of them working on curses for, what was that, 60 days and 45 days, so I cannot get that done in that month. So you almost never want to have double up on research. You want to have one person do it, or the other person do it. In this case, either can do this one. Either, only her. Vorticai, because it's probably specifically arcane. And again, 75 days. That's a big screw you for her. Why do I not want to put her on something? Well, like I said, I need her for one. And the other is the rank up process. To make her a better magister, she's got to be on this list somewhere. High priest, magister. This would be how I rank her up. And again, both pictures will burn up 14 days by default. And again, turn in all these people's things. Okay. Now I can do that. There's nothing wrong with wanting to do that. Just want to make sure that I don't have something else out there. You saw her picture was kind of sitting in the corner of the thing because I hadn't specifically clicked on her. So we need to find her, put that in like so. Before we start the project, though, I highly recommend that you do a hard save. So you know you can always come back to this spot. Okay? And then, of course, after that, we do a quick save so that if we flub something up, we can quick reload. So F5 is the quick save button. So press F5, saving. And then if we mess this up, or somebody fails on all these checks that we're about to turn in here, because 14 days are going to burn up, which means all these guys' days are going to advance as well. All kinds of new events and projects are going to show up as well. And if we don't want that to happen, then we may want to go back to our earlier save. So F8 reloads the last quick save, not the last save, the last quick save. So that's why we do a hard save to make sure we never lose that spot, but we also do a quick save so that we can always reload faster back to that quick spot. So here we are. We have quick saved. We're ready to rock and roll. We have Arcane 2 once we're done, and this is an automatic pass. If you spend the time, you will get Arcane rank 3. So this will be a 3 then, and then she'll be making us more money each week. Instead of 2 BP, it'll be 3 BP a week. Again, that's not amazing, but her stat, remember the plus 10, is going to go up. So let's start this. Look at all the events that just showed up. And the Ancient Curse has just been turned in. That's number 4. Probably going to tell us about Ancient Curse number 5 here before too long. There it is. Success. We're Arcane rank 3. And again, you see it here. 3 BP a week. Okay? And again, we can do that again when we get another Support the Magister's Endeavors. Usually she talks to you. So first, we're going through all the list of all the things that people turned in. We need all successes or triumphs. If I don't get a success at least for everything, then we'll scum save and go back to that last save spot and try again and try again. Because it's nothing more than a die roll. There's a lot of people that just turn in stuff. It's entirely possible that we will have to do this multiple times. This is the downside of this game, in my opinion. And again, you could just play the game, and as a completionist, you don't have to pass everything or get a triumph in everything. There's also mods out there that will allow you to succeed every time as a triumph, which again, I feel is ridiculously cheating. But you can do what you want. I'm not there. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not the freaking game police. But I'm scum saving it so that I know I never fall below stable, because I've lost kingdoms this way, which means the game over before I even came to the bad guy, because our kingdom just flopped. And yes, there's an autopilot for the game as well, so you can say, I don't want to deal with kingdom stuff, but then you lose out on a lot of really cool shit. So again, this is why I'm doing it the hard way. Notice we got a triumph from man's best friend. The warden was suspicious, so they agreed to the deal, but then arrived with a squad of guards. The vendors turned out to be a part of a smuggler's network, and they turned in their cohorts. Economy +1, stability +5. Good job, Keston. Triumph. A noble in trouble. After 2 days laboring in the middle of the river, the noble was ready to give everything she had to be rescued. After receiving his reward, the general sent his soldiers to the river and to release the noble from her predicament. -1 loyalty, because of course she got pissed off at us. But +8 to the military. Military's crushing it. Getting everything into the 200s makes me real happy. Success, exploration of the central region. We sent out a network of scouts to check out a specific area. We can do this multiple times, depending on which region we're talking about. If they do this, if there's a territory that we have not uncovered, usually that's a perception check as you're walking on the overland map. Poof. Now they're all accessible to us because they scouted that area. So we have the central region and the northern region were 2 options that we had. So again, they did their job and did it well. Problem solved. Veterans. Triumph. An unemployed veteran has been hired to work in military workshops that supply the army with weapons and gear. Thus, their combat experience has been put to good use by their superiors. These veterans know perfectly well how best to improve the army's military gear. +2 to our military, +5 to economy. Jublas is the man. And he's got some... Oh, I thought that was a tattoo. I'll say he's got some pretty nice ink. Success for the storyteller. Mendev Crusaders. Several ambitious and ardent warriors were captivated by the curator's stories of the feats and glory that would fill their lives if they stayed and served the king. +4 to military, +3 to culture. Good job, buddy. Triumph. We're crushing it so far. Refugees. Triumph. The advisor managed to convince the people to stay and struggle on for the good of the land. The advisor's words stirred the patriotism in their hearts. Community +4, loyalty +1. Valerie's pretty good at her job. She's not great, but she's a charisma-based advisor, and her charisma is like only 16 without gear. 15, I think I gave her a point just to level it up. But that's why she's not the best at it. Success, our scouts have returned with the news. That's the Central Region Scouting. Alright. Now that everything passed to my liking, press F5, quick save again. Because now you're done. You don't want to go back to that spot and have to repeat all that mess, right? So again, we did all successes or triumphs. That's all I really asked for. Now I want to show you Octavia's number. So first we have all these opportunities and things in the events. That's what we're going through now. Notice there are opportunities. Someone wants to talk to us in the throne room. We can click there and it'll take us right to the throne room. We'll do that in a minute. Here's a problem that needs to be solved. Okay, notice the date. We have until the 7th month, the first day, to start it. Doesn't have to be done by it. Started by this time, which means before this time. Clearly, at the strike of midnight, first day of the 7th month, if you don't have someone on this working on it actively, you fail. Okay. Notice that we're on the 6th month and we have 13 days into it. So again, we're probably a 31 day month typically. And as such, we have about 17 more days. So how long does it take to do it? 14. If we put someone on this now, they'll be done before the end of the month. That's good news. That means I can put Keston, for example, back on something else. Notice he has not gone up yet. Lindsay's upgrading him now. When she finishes, he'll be up from a +9 to something different. But I'm looking for Octavia. This one can only be him, so I'm just going to put him on it for now. I'm not going to start it. I'm just going to put him in there to remind me. This can be anybody of these three. This can be any of these three. Notice the red swatch. Usually that means he's not the best idea for it. The red swatch are also mirrored with like a green swatch on some characters. If it's a green swatch, that means they are better for it, if I remember this correctly. So if you see the red, try not to put them on there unless you have no choice. Visitor waits in the capital. Opportunity Magister asks for an audience. And again, this is probably the Magister asking for us to, they'll give us like a quest of some kind. That's the one we just ranked up, remember? And again, she'll probably, because we have so many value points in here, the 98, she probably can be level 4. Hell, she can probably be level 5 or pretty close to it. So we can rank her up again is what she's probably about to tell us. And she'll give us another quest and another quest besides that, because there's always something that stacks with it. So they talk to you and say, hey, this thing happened. Oh, by the way, thanks for leveling me up. How'd you like to do that again? And that's basically what she's about to tell us. Notice, of course, we also have training just popped up. Strengthens the storyteller skills as the Magister. Remember, he's not our Magister. She is. So why would I want to waste BP on him to do that? That's dumb. But as a curator, on the other hand, that's a solid upgrade. Notice it would take 20 days to do it. And you see my 13. So this is why I can't do this. Because if I need him for something else immediately, he's not available until next month. Which means I can't do anything immediately with him. So that's why these ones suck. Now, having said that, remember that 14-day skip I just did? Leveling her up? That's some reason why you may not want to do that. We were very close to the first of the month, remember? So it's 13 days of the 14 that we just burned up. So literally one day, if I would have just waited one day, it would have been the first of the month, probably, or the 2 days. It would have been the first of the month. And then I could have put him or someone else on this. And then have her skip 14 days. So instead of it being the 13th, it'd be like the 14th or the 15th. And that'd be fine, because he'd be almost done then with this upgrade for himself. You see that? So that was a mistake on my part. And still, it's not a problem. I'm not worried about it yet. But it's going to be an issue if I don't start keeping track of that shit in my brain. So, let's actually go to the throne room first. Quick save this mess. Go to our throne room to meet with the people that want to talk with us. First is going to be a congratulations for beating the Curse 4, probably. I have news. More and more mages come to our capital every day, and it seems a small mage quarter is forming around the artifact appraiser. There's new bookshops, new alchemy labs, and now we even have an illusionist's parlor. That woman can conjure up more dresses and makeup and hairstyles than you can imagine. Perfect for an evening out. Just remember to get back home before the spell wears off. Well, yes, Cinderella. See, however, there's a darker side to this expansion. A necromancer from Geb is looking to set up shop in your domain. He wishes to raise undead servants and rent them out as cheap labor. In his homeland, skeletons till the fields, cut down trees, and mine ore. While elsewhere around the world, necromancy is strictly forbidden, for in order to animate a dead body, one must snip off a small fragment of the soul that once resided within it. Our guest asks you for a license. In return, he promises to supply us with a fresh batch of workers. Now, I have actually heard this in D&D settings and other pen and paper settings that are like D&D, where there's an entire kingdom built around just this, where the entire workers are undead, are skeletons that are animated. Not zombies, because that's rotting flesh, but skeletons, bare-boned skeletons, tilling the lands. Ceaseless workers. Think about this. They never get tired. They never complain. There's never a job dispute. Those kingdoms thrive. But you are also animating the damn dead, which is kind of gross. Not just this last part where she talks about them using a piece of their soul, which I never heard that before. So that's a new one, and it makes it even worse in my opinion. But if it was the pen and paper version, again, I have heard this before, and I would not necessarily object to the idea. Having said that, now that I hear that there's a part of the soul that's resided in the skeleton, basically now you're making permanent slaves. And we came from slavery in this playthrough anyway. It's my telling of the story, and as such, I would not do such a thing. So let's see what she suggests. Just thinking about it makes me sick. Yeah, it's my girl. He vows only to use those who sign a contract while they are still alive, selling their own bodies away for a few gold coins. However, I have little doubt that this will lead to all sorts of trouble. First, enterprising citizens will buy shovels and develop the habit of paying nightly visits to the graveyard. Yeah, grave diggers. Just specifically digging up bodies for him to animate. Then beggars and orphans will start disappearing from the streets. No, Dora, we cannot allow this to happen. So again, the one thing they did add, I will say, compared to if you've played this game in the distant past when it was recently released, they did not have this part here. Literally, one of the problems for picking one or the other, you had no idea what it would really do until you did it. They added this choice effects thing where if you hover over it, it tells you what you'll get if you pick one over the other. Notice what happens if I kick him out. Community and loyalty and divine will all go up. The people will basically love me. Arcane will suffer. And that's our stats, our 3 points. But we can afford 3 points down. I'm not worried about that. Notice this one. Community and divine go down, and we get a new project, Undead Builders, which I have no idea what that means, but that's clearly a project in our kingdom. Now, having said that, that may mean building things cheaper. Less BP to build it, because again, you don't have the construction cost of paying all these people. You have undead. That might be a thing. That could be cool. If I did an evil playthrough, this would be something I would do. I would have no problem doing this. Notice something else. She doesn't want us to do it, and we can literally say, oh, I leave it to you to decide, so you can take the worst way out. Which is a valid choice, and I'm not picking on you for picking this. But if you already know that this is what she wants, pick it. The downside is, sometimes it's not really clear what the advisor wants, and sometimes there's more than one or two choices. It's usually like 3 or 4, and you can't really tell what he or she wants based on what they're telling you. You're kind of like, oh, this sounds like what she wants, and you click it, and she's like, oh, okay, I guess we'll do that then. And you're like, oh, I guess I picked the wrong one. So again, before these things, you notice I saved before, quick save before we came out here to the throne room. This is why, because I can't save now. So if I make a mistake, a boo-boo, a fat finger it on my keyboard, because again, you can type in 1, 2, or 3, and it'll pick this, or I can use my mouse to click it. But if I fat finger it, let's say with my keyboard, and oh, I pressed 1, I meant 2, damn it! Go back to your quick save, and then just repeat this dialogue. It'll always be the same, as far as I know. It's already hard-coded in there. Once you get the tooltip that she wants to talk to you, this is what she's going to talk to you about. But this is interesting then. Again, do I want to make her happy? Do I want to piss her off and have the undead builders? Obviously, there's a benefit for having undead builders. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a thing. But the more you do things against what your advisor wants, the more pissed they get at you, and you can actually piss them off to the point where they say, fuck you, and leave. Well, they don't say that, but they leave. And that's fucked up, quite frankly. So, again, if you do an evil playthrough, you're losing advisors. Remember, we have 10 slots to fill. How do you keep 10 advisors happy if you're constantly, like, lopping off heads and raising the dead? Well, remember that one guy I told you that we don't put him in any particular role because he's an evil son of a bitch? That's Bartholomew. Well, he's technically an evil advisor. So if you had an evil playthrough, there's an advisor for each type of alignment, roughly speaking. Not every alignment. So not lawful good, lawful neutral, lawful evil. No, what I mean is there's a guy that's basically good, there's a person who's basically neutral, and there's someone who's basically an evil biatch. So, if you're doing an evil playthrough, find those evil advisors on the web, I suggest first, so that you know what you have to do to kiss their ass to make them want to join you. If you do that, and your kingdom is evil, they will join you. So when, she's pissed off and she bolts, fuck you, baby, I got someone else that's better at this job than you. And you replace her with the evil one. Or you can just replace them with the evil one they show up. Like right now, I can put Bartholomew on as the treasurer, getting rid of Jubilos, or I can get rid of, was it Lindsay, I think is the other one, that he can do her job as well. And again, he's an NPC, but if you're doing an evil playthrough, at least they gave you that option, which I thought was kind of cool. Back to our story. I forbid this necromancer from practicing his dark arts in my realm. Yeah, because I hate magic. Dumbass. Wonderful. I hope this vulture will leave the capital for good as soon as I deliver him the news. And now notice we got a new event, an arcane lobby, which they didn't tell us that was going to be a thing. Notice this. Support the Magister's endeavors. This is, again, her next rank up. She's already rank 3. Remember, we just spit out 14 days to get her from 2 to 3. This will be 3 to 4. So she's ready to go up to the next rank if we so choose.